you today?
Hi, I'm not too bad. I'm here, so it was a nice day out, so it was nice coming here.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to complete the PCL in the waiting room?
I did, yes.
Do you mind if I go over
Oh,
that?
yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. And now I'm going to go ahead and just score it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the results after, okay? All right, well, the PCL, according to the PCL, it seems that your anxiety is down a few ticks from last week. Does that feel right for how you've been feeling lately?
Yeah, I feel like this past week I was able to do a couple things for myself. I watched a new TV show that I liked, and I was just kind of doing things, like I said, for myself, a little bit of self-care. So I feel like that does make sense, and my anxiety has been going down since last week.
Oh, well, it sounds like you've been doing a lot of things fun for yourself, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And so for the out of session work last week, we had talked about completing an ABC sheet for every day of the week. The only difference between this ABC sheet and the other ones that we've done is that these ones were to include a stuck point that is directly related to your trauma. Were you able to complete those?
Yes, I was.
All right. Do you mind if I scoot a little bit closer to you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Awesome. All right. And were there any one of these sheets that was a little bit more difficult to complete than the others?
I think this one was pretty hard to do.
Okay. And do you mind if we go through it?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Can you go ahead and read what you wrote down for the activating event?
Yeah, so I was raped by my boyfriend's friend.
And when you were writing down the event, what thoughts came up for you?
Yeah, so I said, I shouldn't have went to the bathroom upstairs and just left the party. It's all my fault.
And when you had that belief that it was your fault, that you shouldn't have went upstairs to the bathroom, what feelings came up for you?
Yeah, so I felt just really disgusted and embarrassed about what happened.
And so I hear that you're feeling disgusted and embarrassed about the initial event, and you had also wrote down in column B that you feel that you're at fault for what happened. I'm wondering, what role do you feel that you played in the assault?
Yeah, I feel like it is my fault that it happened because I went to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom, so I had to go upstairs to the bathroom, and if I wasn't there, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did, to rape me. And I feel like it was something I kept replaying over and over in my head of all the scenarios, and and I chose to use that bathroom at that time, and if I didn't do that, then he wouldn't have had the opportunity to rape me. I wouldn't have even been there. So I just feel like it is all my fault that it happened.
And it sounds like when asked what your role is in the event, you feel that had you not even gone to the bathroom, that maybe the assault may not have taken place.
Right, and it's just, like I said, something that I just feel like I couldn't think of any other way. I feel like it was my fault because I'm the one that chose to go to the bathroom. And I just kept thinking, if I went to the bathroom a couple seconds later or earlier, you know what I mean? Maybe he wouldn't have been there, maybe he wouldn't have saw me. So it's just kind of one of those things that's if I wouldn't have went to the bathroom, I wouldn't have been raped. So I feel like it's just my fault.
It sounds like you are taking a very big portion of the blame, and what role do you feel that the boy who assaulted you took in the event?
Yeah, I feel like, he was there. Obviously, he still raped me. So I feel like, he was there, but it was because I was there in the moment. He wouldn't have raped me if I wasn't there. So I feel like, he was a part of it, but it was me, the one that kind of made that decision for it to happen.
And by the decision for it to happen, you mean going to the bathroom during the party?
Right. If I wouldn't have went up to the upstairs to use the bathroom, I wouldn't have been there in that position, and he wouldn't have saw me and raped me.
So I want to switch gears a little bit here, and I want to ask you a question, and you can give me a ballpark answer, an estimated number. How many parties would you say that you've been to this year?
I go to a lot, so I feel like I probably went to maybe like 20 parties.
20 parties. And would you say that if not at all of these parties, at some of them, that you used the bathroom at those parties?
I mean, yeah, I use the bathroom all the time. I might have even used it twice in a night at a party.
Yeah. And so, at these parties, you've used the bathroom maybe twice, so about 40 times, right? And if going to the bathroom at parties ultimately caused the rape, would you and everyone else who had decided to use the bathroom at these parties have experienced 40 rapes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true if you look at it. If you just use the bathroom at a party and that means you're being raped, then everyone that used the bathroom that night would have been raped in every party. Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you feel like it's safe to say that going to the party that night and using the bathroom at that party is something that you would have done at any party that you'd been to?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have to use the bathroom all the time. I mean, especially drinking and stuff. I mean, you have to use the bathroom a lot, so I feel like I would have went anyway.
Yeah, and even at this particular party, I mean, were there any other bathrooms in the building that you could have used?
No, there's just like one upstairs, and it's obviously kind of gross and dirty, but I mean, that's the one you have to use, so that's just the one everybody uses.
Yeah, and outside of that option for a bathroom, what other option would you have had?
I mean, I guess I could have went outside to the bathroom, but like that's gross. I mean, who's gonna pee outside? Like I probably would have been a mess if I tried to do that, so I wouldn't have had any other option.
Right. So it sounds like using the bathroom that night at the party upstairs was kind of the only option you had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was when you look at it. I mean, I didn't really think about it, but I really didn't have any other option.
Yeah, and in that same way, you couldn't have intended for the event to take place.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I didn't, I guess I didn't know I was going to be raped. I mean, I didn't think about it just because it's never happened before when I used the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. And when you take into account that information, I mean, what role do you feel like the boy who assaulted you played in the event?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you look at it that way, like, I couldn't have known I was going to be raped. And I mean, I still used the bathroom, but he's the one that, I guess, made the decision for himself to rape me. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit was his fault then.
Yeah. And, I mean, on that topic, I mean, when we think about people and who is responsible for whose actions, would you say that people are responsible for their own actions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I feel like if you do something, I mean, it is kind of on you a little bit, but I don't know. I just feel like even though, yeah, I used the bathroom, I didn't ask to be raped, I'm still kind of just like, I still feel like it is my fault a little bit, I mean, yeah, he made the decision to rape me for himself, but I mean, also like kind of what I was wearing too. I mean, I wasn't really wearing, anything that covered me. I kind of had on like a crop top and shorts that, my butt kind of was hanging out a little bit. So I feel like still, yeah, I mean, he could have been a little bit at fault, but I still feel like I was at fault too because the way I was dressing.
And so although it may not be your fault that you had entered the bathroom that night, now you kind of feel that because of what you were wearing that night, that has you at some fault.
Right, because I mean, he did see me, and I mean, I was, like I said, not wearing a lot of clothing. I mean, I wasn't really covered very well, so I feel like maybe that made his decision easier because he looked at me, saw what I was wearing, and maybe that kind of what I was wearing, I was just asking to be raped.
And how were the other girls at the party dressed that night?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hotter night, so I feel like everyone was kind of wearing like, t-shirts that were cut a little bit short and were wearing shorts that were a little bit shorter. And I feel like people just wear that stuff to parties anyway. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we were all kind of dressed the same.
And had it been a friend that night close to you, who had experienced the assault and was in the same situation as you and had felt that it was her fault because of how she was dressed, what would you tell her?
I mean, yeah, I probably would, support her. I mean, I'm such a good friend and I try to be, so I would have been like, it's not your fault. Like, he's the bad guy. He's the one that did this to you. And I feel like if my friend was, upset about it and thinking it was her fault, I would just reassure that, it wasn't, because in reality, we all dress like that. So, I would just be like, I'm dressed like this too, and, kind of help her feel a little bit better about the situation. But yeah, I feel like I would have just kept reassuring her that it wasn't her fault. He's the one that raped you, so it's kind of on him.
And it sounds like when you're thinking of this scenario and somebody very close to you, that you were more than willing to give them, the benefit of the doubt and the reassurance that it wasn't their fault. Why do you think that you're undeserving of that same reassurance?
Right. I guess I never really thought about it like that. Looking at it in a different perspective, kind of looking at it if I was telling my friend this stuff, I guess I would be deserving to, not be raped. Just because I went to the bathroom, just because of what I was wearing, I didn't ask for it. So I feel like I should get that same support in return, that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. And what does it feel like to say that it wasn't your fault?
It's something that I've never even thought about before. It kind of just opens my eyes to this whole new thing of like, really, maybe it wasn't my fault, and I feel like it's something that I keep replaying over and over in my head, the situation, and it's like, I've never been able to be like, I'm not at fault. But now, thinking about that, like if a friend came to me and told me all that stuff, the same situation that happened to me, clearly it's not her fault. So just looking at it in a different light, that's something that I thought I would never be able to do.
Yeah, and it must feel like such a relief now to be able to say something like that. And it takes a lot to be able to admit, that we weren't intending for bad things to happen to us.
Right. I feel like even just like you saying that we don't intend for things to happen to us, it's like I just feel like a little bit of relief and just weight off my shoulders, because I feel like this is something that I've been holding on to for so long, you know what I mean? Like that it was my fault. I couldn't see it any other way, and I feel like it's something now that I'm like, it's not my fault. Like it's that, like I said, weight off of my shoulders, and I don't know, I just feel like I can look at things more clearly and not fogged up anymore, because I feel like before it was like I only saw one way and that it was my fault, and now seeing this different view, it feels kind of good. Just being able to say that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, and when you take all of that information into consideration and you take all of that realization into consideration, would you say that the thoughts that you wrote down in column B were realistic or helpful?
No. Just because I went upstairs to use the bathroom and just because I was wearing a crop top and short shorts, that's not asking to be raped.
And I noticed that is already what you had written down, but I'm wondering if it feels a little bit more real.
I feel like actually saying it and talking to you about it, like it feels real. Like I feel like before I was just like, well, this makes sense a little bit, but like it didn't feel real for me. It was kind of just putting in the work, putting something down. But I feel like talking to you about it, like I can actually feel that it is real, that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. And with that, what do you feel like is something that you might be able to tell yourself in the future if thoughts like this come up again?
Yeah, I mean, what I had wrote down was that it is not my fault the way people act and do things that are out of my control.
And what does it feel like to acknowledge that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes the whole situation, like I said, just a little bit more clear about, like, I can't control how other people act or how they think or what they do. So, I mean, their actions are on themselves. And I mean, for that night at least, it was him that made that decision to rape me. It wasn't mine. I didn't ask to be raped, so I can't really control what other people do.
And that is such a big realization. I want to put that out there that it really is. You should feel really good right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I never thought I'd actually say it out loud. I mean, like it is such a relief because I just feel like it's something that was holding me back. I mean, I feel like just all the work we've done together so far, I mean, like it's helped so much. But this right here, I mean, I just feel like this is something that I'm going to be able to just take and keep working on and keep with the progress. And it is a big realization for me.
And with that realization, what do you feel like would be a good next step? Do you feel comfortable crossing off that step point off of your log, or would you feel more comfortable changing it to something different and keeping something there, or keeping it there altogether? What do you feel like the best next step would be?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like before today I would have never even thought about crossing that stuck point off, but just talking with you, I feel like I do want to cross it off.
All right, well, let's see that stuck point log. And what does it feel like to see that line through there?
Like I said, I honestly never would have thought I would have been able to do that. I mean, I remember when I wrote that stuck point down and I was just like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to get past this. It was something that was holding me back all this time, and I don't know, it feels really good. Like I actually have some control back in my life.
Yeah, well, that control that you feel is something that we're going to continue to touch on in future sessions. So I don't want you to forget what that feels like, okay?
Yeah, I won't.
All right. So we do still have some time in this session, and we can utilize it however you feel. Did you want to go over another ABC worksheet?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We can.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so we can go ahead. Which one did you feel like you would want to touch on next?
Let's see. Probably this one.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead with the same, format. Can you read to me what it says in column A?
Yeah. So I overheard my classmates whispering about me at lunch and were staring at me.
And what thoughts came up? What thoughts came up when this event happened?
Yeah, so I thought to myself, they know what happened and think that I am gross because I had sex with that guy.
And what feelings came up when you had that thought?
I really felt like ashamed and embarrassed about it.
I noticed that you mentioned in column B that you're gross because you had sex with that guy. And I want to talk about that just a little bit, just because when we say, when we categorize it as, having sex, that's a lot different than we were assaulted. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that looks like for you and what the difference between, having sex with a person that you care about and a person that you love is like versus what had happened at the party.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when I wrote it down, like, I kind of still was thinking that it was my fault that I was raped. And I feel like I kind of just thought, well, since it was, my fault, and maybe he had a little bit of fault too, like, we were just having sex. I didn't want to have sex, but maybe that's just still what it was. But I didn't really think about it being like, I was assaulted, I was raped.
And so in the moment, when you were completing this assignment, it almost felt better to say that it was just having sex rather than admit that it was an assault because, you know, you still felt that you were the only one to blame in the situation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely didn't even think about him being all at fault. You know, I definitely still thought I had some fault with it, and I was just like, well, I guess it's still just sex, so even though in reality, yeah, it was more rape.
And when we think about how we would go into the future, and, you know, categorize relationships and how we would want to interpret something like sex, what do you hope that would be like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I look at like having sex with somebody, like I would definitely look at it as if like we both want to do it. So like we both consented to say yes, we want to have sex with each other, and also to have some sort of, you know, maybe not being in love, but like some care. You know, you do care about that person, you are supportive of that person, and maybe a little bit of compassion. Like I just feel like it's something that you both want, and you both do care enough about each other that you're willing to have sex with each other.
Yeah, and does that description feel right to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it does. It's something that, like, I guess I always thought about, like, you know, having sex with somebody. Like, I always thought it would be consensual, but also, like, you know, you care about that person. Like, you don't want to just share and be intimate with somebody if, like, you don't really care about them.
And, I mean, with all of that information, would you still feel like that event makes you gross?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not really that I'm gross because I didn't ask for it to happen. It's like, you know, I was raped. I didn't have that decision. You know, it was already made for me, so I wasn't able to say or anything to stop it, I guess. So, I mean, no, I guess I'm really not gross just because I'm not the one that made that decision.
And what does it feel like to say something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I always felt like kind of dirty and just like I said, like gross, dirty, and like sometimes I couldn't even really like look at myself in the mirror because I was like, wow, like, you know, you had sex with that guy, like you did that to yourself. And, you know, now knowing that it wasn't my fault that it happened, and like, you know, having sex should be something that you know, you care about that person, and it's not something that like you just go and do because of whatever. Like, he's the one that did that to me, and I shouldn't feel ashamed because he's the one that made that decision, and I kind of got that decision taken away from me.
Yeah. And I mean, considering all of that, are the thoughts that you wrote in column B realistic or helpful?
I mean, no, because it doesn't help me any knowing that if they think that way, you know, towards me, and even if I think that way towards myself, like it's not accurate. I mean, I'm not really gross because what happened was I was raped, and that's just something that, I mean, if people want to believe that, they can, or if they don't want to believe it, I guess that's their decision, but it shouldn't make me gross, and I shouldn't be ashamed of it because, like I said, I had no way of knowing it was going to happen.
And it sounds like because you know now that you weren't at fault and that you weren't to blame, that it changes the way that you view your role in the situation.
Right, I mean, because like we've just been talking, like, you know, it wasn't my fault. Like, I mean, I replayed the situation in my head so many times, and it's like I never really thought about, you know, he's the one that made that decision for himself. You know, I could have probably done anything and it probably would have still happened. So it's like, no, I feel like, you know, I'm not at fault, and I shouldn't be ashamed of what happened because, like I said, he's the one that did that to me.
Yeah. And with that information in mind, what is something that you can tell yourself when events like this happen in the future?
Yeah, I put, it doesn't matter what people think about you. And I mean, it really doesn't. I feel like it doesn't really matter what people think because they're gonna come up with their own conclusion about you no matter what. So it's like, as long as I feel good with myself and what I'm doing, I mean, that's really all that should matter. I mean, it sucks either way, people talking about you. I mean, nobody wants it, but I can't really help what they think. I mean, because no matter what, they're gonna think what they believe that happened.
Yeah, and I mean, given all this information and what you've realized to this point, do you feel like this stuck point is something that you're going to want to continue to work on in the future, or is it something that you feel comfortable crossing off your log?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really feel like I could definitely maybe even cross it off, because I just feel like it's really not accurate, because what I wrote down was, that I was gross because I had sex with that guy, and in reality that's not even accurate because I was raped. So I feel like it really doesn't, it's really not correct when I think about it.
Yeah, and it almost sounds like, had we not come to the first realization in our first worksheet, that we may not have been able to get to this point on this worksheet.
Right, like I feel like really knowing that, one, I was raped and it wasn't my fault, that it's kind of opening up all these doors for me, all these perspectives that I never thought about. And it's kind of almost everything that I thought about myself before, like it's completely switched. So I feel like I'm just looking at things so much more clear than I ever did.
Yeah, well, this kind of leads us into our next thing. As we wrap up our work on the ABC worksheets, I do have another worksheet, I'm sure. I am sure you are so excited for that. So this worksheet right here is called the Levels of Responsibility handout. And so what this does, it is basically kind of like a scale, or you can consider it like a tier, and it is to gauge your role in the traumatic event and kind of look at the facts. Are you okay going over this right now?
Okay, that's fine.
Awesome. Okay, so it goes in 3 tiers. So for the first one, we have the unforeseeable. So the unforeseeable is just, there was no way to predict that the event would happen. And the emotions that are commonly associated with this tier are grief and sadness. The second one is responsibility. And with this one is kind of like you played a role in your traumatic event, but you didn't intend on the outcome. And the emotion that is commonly associated with that is regret. And then we have the last tier, fault and blameworthiness. And this is for the person who intended the harm and intended the outcome. And the emotion that is commonly associated with that tier is guilt. And so looking at this scale, and you can look a little bit closer, where do you feel like you fall on this scale?
Yeah, so I feel like, probably before today coming and talking to you, I really feel like I would have put myself at fault. And I was even feeling a little bit guilty about the situation as well. And I don't know, it was something, like I said, that I feel like I couldn't get past. But coming in here and talking with you today about everything, like realizing that I'm not at fault. Like I wasn't asked to be raped, and I just feel like now I probably would put myself in the unforeseeable level.
Okay, and what does it feel like to have yourself right there?
Yeah, I feel like, one, it feels accurate. Like I feel like it's definitely right, because there isn't any way I could have predicted what happened. I always kept going over the situation of like, maybe if I didn't go to the bathroom, maybe if I didn't wear this, all these things that had to do with me, but nothing to do with the fact that I've used the bathrooms before at parties, like we've talked about. There was times where I went twice or maybe even 3 times to a bathroom at a party, and I've never been raped. So I feel like there's no way I would have known going to that party, wearing what I did, going to the bathroom when I did that, I was going to be raped. I just feel like I wouldn't have been able to predict that.
Yeah, and looking at the same scale, where would you rank the boy who assaulted you?
Yeah, I guess before today also, I probably would have put him in the middle, level, being that he played a role, but, still kind of a little bit my fault. But, now looking at everything more clearly, he's clearly at fault. He's the one that made that decision to rape me. I did, I could have done anything and he probably still would have raped me. So I feel like he definitely intended on the harm. I mean, he's definitely the one that did this to me. So he's at fault.
And I mean, considering both of those spaces on this scale, do you feel like the emotions associated fit well for the situation?
Yeah, I mean, definitely for my case, like, I mean, yeah, I feel a little bit of, grief still about it, and I was definitely sad, and I still am sad because, what happened, was terrible. I never want to go through that again, so I feel like it makes sense what I'm feeling matches what level I'm on, and, even him a little bit being at fault, hopefully he does feel guilt. I don't really know what he feels because I feel like he's just not a good person, but in reality, he probably should feel a little bit guilty about what he did to me.
Yeah, and handouts like this can be extremely helpful, especially as we go through the course of the process with therapy, and this is something that you can use on your own time. If you ever feel like you have to reevaluate one of your thoughts or the event, this is going to be a good tool for you to use. So you can go ahead and take this.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And so now that we are kind of nearing that midpoint in our session, I wanted to go over the out of session work for next week.
Okay.
So we're going to be introducing this new worksheet.
Okay.
Called the challenging beliefs worksheet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hand you this blank copy so that you can follow along with me. And do you find it be helpful if we went over it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, so let me get mine in order. Alrighty. So it just consists of a few different questions, and all of them are going to revolve around a stuck point from your stuck point log. So you can go ahead and go through that and find a stuck point that fits, one that you want to go over in particular, and you will go ahead and add it to this. And so for the belief, that would be where your stuck point goes, so you would just put it right there. And then the first question is, what is the evidence for and against this stuck point? So that would just be you coming up with one reason why you feel that the stuck point is valid. And on this sample worksheet, they have an example, and I just wanted to put it out there that some of the answers on the sample may be a little bit triggering, so I just wanted to warn you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the belief that this client had added to this sample was, it is my fault that my brother was killed in the car accident because I should have done things differently. And so for the what is the evidence for and against this stuck point, therefore was, I should have made him wear his seatbelt. He refused, and I thought it was only a few blocks, so it didn't really matter. We were talking and laughing. And so that is the kind of things that we would add to that for. On the against, it is an exception to the stuck point or a piece of evidence that goes against it. And so when we look at things like this, only one exception is needed to make a belief not a fact. Okay, so it would just be whatever piece of evidence you can come up with to prove that the stuck point is inaccurate or wrong. So for the second question, it's, is your stuck point a habit or based on facts? And so this is just gauging whether or not you've told yourself this belief before. Is it something that comes up often? And if that is the case, then it would be a habit. For the third question, we have, in what ways is your stuck point not including all of the information? So basically, is it possible that your stuck point is unrealistic or not completely accurate? And so just kind of gauging that. And then for 4, we have, does your stuck point include all or none terms? So an example from the sample is, it's all my fault, or I should have done things differently. And so that is, I I'm so sorry. That is for number 5. I'm skipping ahead a little bit.
That's okay.
For the all or none terms, it is, I thought it was all my fault because my brother died. I didn't even think about the driver of the other car. I kept saying I should have done something different to avoid the crash. So just kind of like those all or nothing terms, trying to gauge whether or not it is possible that your stuck point isn't completely accurate.
Okay.
And so then for the 5th one, does the stuck point include words or phrases that are extreme or exaggerated? So things like, it's all my fault, or I should have done this, or I can't do this, or things of that nature. So just kind of like those really heavy words, that's what that will include. Going to the second page. So for the 6th question, we have, in what ways is your stuck point focused on just one piece of the story? So it's just about deciding one piece of information from the event that caused the event to happen. And so for the sample worksheet, something that was written down was, the stuck point came from me, but when it first happened, my parents' first reaction was that it was my fault. And so they're acknowledging that the stuck point is originally theirs, but the thought was put in place by something that someone else told them. So that is something to keep in mind as you complete that. Number 7 is, where did this stuck point come from? Is this a dependable source of information on this stuck point? So in the sample, it was written, I kept thinking that I could have done something different to avoid the crash. Maybe there's something that I could have done, but it isn't likely. So like, it's just acknowledging that, like, when you think back to when this event happened, who were you at the time of the event, and your stuck point may be based on a thought that you developed when you were scared, right? And so that is something to think about if you're adding a stuck point from your event. Now, kind of like how we realized earlier, one of your second stuck point that we went over, it seemed to be stemmed from the first stuck point, right? And so when we had resolved that first stuck point, it kind of seemed like it was easy to get through that second one. So that's kind of that thinking right there. So for the 8th question, it's, how is your stuck point confusing something that is possible with something that is likely? And so just acknowledging that things, although can be possible, or just because things are possible doesn't mean that it is likely that they will happen. So for instance, like, is it possible that I go to McDonald's and get something to eat and they get my order wrong? It's possible, but is it likely that day? Maybe not. So just kind of looking at them, I know it's a little bit of a silly example, but it's the first thing that came in mind.
It makes sense.
And then for number 9, we have, in what ways is your stuck point based on feelings rather than facts? And so it's representing the fact that sometimes if you feel something, then if you feel something is true, then you're going to feel like it must be. So just acknowledging that sometimes some of our stuck points can be associated with our feelings rather than, the facts in front of us. And then for the last one, it says, in what ways is the stuck point focused on unrelated parts of the story? So it's just focusing on the cause of their blame that had nothing to do with the event happening. And that is the rest of that worksheet. Do you have any questions about how to complete it?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think it makes sense, like, going through and, like, having the examples and stuff, because, I mean, it is a lot of questions. So, I definitely feel like going through it was helpful, but, I think it all kind of makes sense. I mean, like, even with that first, like, question, like, the evidence, like, for and against, like, could that even be, like, we went over the example for, like, 4, but, like, even against, like, only one exception's needed?
So you only really need to make one, one piece of evidence against.
Okay.
I think the only one exception is just the example of how when there's something that is a fact, there only needs to be one exception to that fact to make it untrue.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we still do have a little bit of time left in the session. Would you want to maybe go over the first 2 questions with one of the stuck points from your log?
Yeah, we definitely can do that. That might help me kind of get the gist of it all.
So you can go ahead and pull up your stuck point here.
Okay. Let's see.
And which one would you want to add?
I mean, maybe I could do. I could do. No one believes me.
Okay, so you would write the stuck point that no one believes me right here in the belief section. And what is a piece of evidence that supports that stuck point that no one believes you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have, I could think like, I've tried to tell people before about what's happened to me. I mean, even things in the past, but especially, me being raped. I've tried to tell people about what happened, and I feel like they like push me off, and they basically they don't think it would have ever happened, and that I probably like asked for it. So I feel like since I've had people before kind of push me off and not really believe me, like, I mean, that could be evidence for like no one believing me.
And so what's a way that we could say that that would be good for the worksheet?
Yeah, I guess I could say it like people haven't believed me in the past.
Okay, that works. And in that same question, what's a piece of evidence that you feel goes against the stuck point that no one believes you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe if I'm, like my mom, like she's very like supportive of me and stuff, and I feel like she knows I'm obviously coming to therapy, and I feel like she would be that one exception, that person that would believe me about everything. And she's believed me in the past with things if people have been saying things about me, and people just assume it's all true. And my mom's always been kind of one that's like, maybe it's not true, like maybe they're just saying stuff because they're jealous or whatever. So I feel like even my mom being maybe the only person, I mean, she is somebody that I feel like would believe me about things.
Yeah, so I guess a piece of evidence that would be against that stuck point is that there is some people in your life that believe you. Yeah, how would you write that down?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would say like, my mom would believe me, so other people would believe me.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And going into question 2, is your stuck point a habit or based on facts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely a habit, because I feel like it's something that I like always kind of believe, just because of things that's happened in the past. And I feel like it's just something that I've always believed to be so strong that I guess I always believed it was a fact. But I mean, really looking at it now, it is a habit.
Okay, so you can go ahead and write that down.
Okay.
And for number 3, in what ways is your stuck point not including all of the information? What would you say for that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely not taking into account that what happened to me, like, it was terrible. I mean, like, I was raped, and I feel like if no one wants to believe me, like, that's on them, like, I guess not to believe me. But I feel like I'm just not including that, like, what happened to me, like, it could happen to other people too. And I feel like, other people probably would stand up and, say what happened to them maybe. And I feel like it's just something that, like, people are always going to think what they think, but, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not including that what happened to me was rape. It, it did happen, and I mean, like I said, my mom would believe me about what happened. So I feel like I'm just not including that, like, there are other people out there that, probably do realize that I was raped, or maybe even if they hear other people and their stories, like there is people out there that are going to believe it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so how would we frame that in a way that fits this worksheet?
Yeah, I guess I could say, like, I'm not including all the other people that have, been there for me and have believed me.
Yeah, that works. All right, now that we've been through 3 of the questions, do you feel like you've gotten kind of like the gist of things?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it kind of helped because like I liked kind of talking through all the questions, but like actually using like my real life example, I feel like that does help me kind of put into play like what all the questions are actually asking. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna go ahead and send you home with these, so you can go ahead and take home the stack of blank ones, and then obviously you can finish this one on your own time. But I'm also gonna go ahead and send you with the guide and the samples as well, just because I feel like that would be helpful, so you can go over those however you see fit and however is helpful. And yeah, that kind of wraps up everything for today. Did you find that the worksheets were helpful?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, everything we've done up until this point, like, the ABCs were very helpful. Like, I feel like being able to put down in writing, like, a situation that happened and, how I felt, and just talking to you about it. Like I said, I came to this big realization today, and I feel like I'm excited to do the challenging questions worksheet, even though it is going to be, more work putting into it. I feel like it is going to be very helpful just being able to really look at things like more clearly, because I feel like that's what I need.
Yeah, and it sounds like, you've done a good job completing all of them thus far, and it sounds like you found them to be helpful for your situation, so that's great. Is there anything else that you want to cover before we end today?
Yeah, I feel really good about today's session. I feel like I said, just being able to talk to you about my main trauma. It was hard for me to do that ABC sheet, but I feel like I'm happy that I did it, because I think when I was filling it out, I was kind of scared a little bit of like just putting it down writing and just not knowing like everything about what was happening. And I feel like I was scared a little bit to talk to you today about it, but I'm happy that I did, because I feel like I said, it's just something that it was holding such a like dark cloud over my head, and I just feel so much better being able to just have that weight off my shoulders, that relief that it wasn't my fault about what happened. And like you even said, it's going to probably trickle down to other things that I've thought, and maybe I can cross more stuck points off of my log. So I'm kind of happy with the progress I have been making.
Yeah, and I think that's a very great attitude to have as we move forward. And you did mention like feeling like maybe some of the topics may be harder to answer. If you ever get into that situation where you just feel like the worksheet is, the topic that you're covering on the worksheet is just maybe too hard to do on your own, I do welcome you to maybe bring it back in and during your next session, and we can do kind of like what we did today and work through it together, if you think that might be helpful.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that would, because like sometimes when I'm at home doing it, it's kind of like, it is scary to write this stuff down, but I feel like when I'm here working with somebody else doing it, like it kind of just makes me feel like I'm not alone in the situation, a little bit better about it.
Well, I do feel like this is a good place to end. Does the same time next week work for you?
Yes, it does.
All right, well, let's do it.
Thank you.